I'm not going to get much further down the road explaining all of this. I'll be back a little bit later as the moderator. But it's a distinct pleasure for me to welcome the President of the USIP, Dick Solomon, Dick has been a friend for a number of years, but I think most of you know his very distinctive background. He, among other things, was our Assistant Secretary for the State of the Pacific from 1989 to 1992, U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines in 1993, and has been at the U.S. Institute since 1993. And if anything else, it's changing the landscape of Washington in a very literal way. You see this very beautiful building that is beginning to rise near the Vietnam Memorial across the State Department, the old Navy area there. We're not here to talk about the construction project, but I do want to welcome Dick. He's going to say a few words to start our program, and then I'll be back to Dick.
Thank you, Jack. Actually, Jack Pritchard just gave me a tour of his new building, his new facility here, which made me so jealous I started a building project. But delighted to have this collaboration on an issue that just won't go away. When I came to the Institute in 1993, I had worked on the Korea issue actually since 1972, when I first went to China with Kissinger. We learned that Zhou Enlai had committed something over to Beijing to explain why the PRC was opening up to the United States. And of course, a lot of tension on that issue in the 70s. And I wish you had that picture up of Kim Jong-il shaking hands with Wen Jiabao, because what I would do is, if you had a Photoshop, I'd change the head on Wen Jiabao. You put Putin's head there, maybe you put Hillary Clinton's head there, because one of the ways that the North Koreans have survived is by playing one major power off against another. During the Cold War, of course, was playing the Russians against the Chinese. And it's a game that continues to go on. Indeed, one of the reasons that Jack has permanent employment, if he wants, is that this is a problem that, let's say, like the Middle East conflict, just won't go away. None of us who have followed this issue for many years have broken the code of how to, what you say, get along with North Korea on terms that are acceptable to us. This is truly a remarkable instance of a weak, if not a failed state system, finding a way to convert its weakness, its vulnerabilities into negotiating leverage, which has enabled the state, the military, if not the society at large, to survive. And we haven't found a way to deal with that challenge, which is now amplified for the global community by the nuclear proliferation activities and other weapons proliferation commerce of the North Korean state, which is one of the ways they try to sustain their minuscule economy. One of the key issues that I hope that the panel discussion here will shed some light on is what is the real meaning of Wen Jiabao's recent trip to North Korea. If we're an optimist, we say that, let me back up. We had a session on North Korea a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think I'm telling anything out of school or classified, but Kurt Campbell, the new assistant secretary, said that the Chinese had said to him, North Korea will not collapse. And Kurt said, gee, that means that it must be near its collapse. The Chinese was before the Wen Jiabao visit. You can interpret the visit now as the second part of the Chinese response to the vulnerabilities succession issue in North Korea, that the Chinese decided that they didn't want that collapse or that turmoil to get out of control. And so they made a major commitment, perhaps on the economic side, just to help the North Korean system sustain itself. The question is, what, if anything, did they get in response? Were they able specifically to get a commitment from the North to not only rejoin the six-party talk process, but also to honor the commitments they had made in the past on their on the denuclearization of their defense system. So that's what I hope we'll be hearing from our colleagues here today. John Hart, who's in charge of our Korea and all of our East Asia work. Jonathan Pollack had his thinking corrupted back as far as the University of Michigan, where I was teaching, and he was a lowly servile graduate student. He's
not servile.
Listen to great heights since then. And I'm delighted again with this collaboration. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Well, again, thanks to Dick, thanks to the USIP. This program came about because John Park sent an email and said, I'm in South Korea, I'm on my way back, what do you think about a collaboration? For which, as you can see, Nicole Finneman has taken charge of this, and our staff has said, well, we'll think about it. We're delighted to be able to co-host and in particular, I'm pleased to moderate with two just fine gentlemen here who are experts in this particular area. So we're going to tackle what's the significance of Wen Jiabao's visit and implication of the U.S. policy towards North Korea. I was struck by a quote that's attributed to the Chinese Foreign Minister Yang Jiechi, in which he says, Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao's visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is rich in content, weighty in outcome, and significant in meaning. Well, today we'll find out if that's all true or not. You have the bios of each of our speakers. I'm not going to dwell on that. Jonathan Pollack comes from the Naval Institute, where he has been there since 2000. Prior to that, he has taught in a number of fine institutions. He's been with the RAND Corporation. John Park, as you know, has gotten his degrees at Cambridge and did some postgraduate work and is still affiliated with Harvard University. I first met John when he was working at Harvard. He came, I think I was at Wilkins, and we did presentations, and I was struck with the quality of his research and his analysis. And lo and behold, here he is. He is an up-and-coming and a very good analyst, and going to be on the scene here for, well, as long as Korea is going to be important. Well, maybe it'll be around longer than I will. Well, let's get started. And what we'd like to do today is to turn first to Jonathan Pollack and let him give us a little bit of an opening, and then we'll turn back to John Park. There will be time for your questions, although I've got several of my own. And since I'm the moderator, I get to ask as many as I want first. Jonathan, it's all yours.
Jack, thanks very much, and thanks to Dick as well. I've known Dick longer than Dick has been studying Korea, so we're gaining one another. Obviously, what I talk about today are very much my personal views. I am a government employee, although that doesn't mean I'm in the policy world as such, but I just want to clarify that these are my personal views. When I was in the cab coming over from the airport this morning, I was searching for a metaphor that might characterize where we yet again seem to be with North Korea. And the one that came immediately to mind, of course, is the classic Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day, in which he wakes up every day and it's still February 2nd. The difference, I suppose, though, is that every day that he wakes up in the movie, he's a bit better than before. And I don't know that this story improves with age.